So when we were in college, we worked as part
What
of
about
this-
what about an intro?
This is the intro.
It's only our second time doing this.
Now that just became the intro.
Not for nothing, 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 not for nothing.
When we were in college, we worked as part of the city's bureaucracy. We worked in and
That
around.
sounds so much more official than what we really did.
We worked in and around City Hall, and we got to see the city government up close and personal. And not for nothing, Philadelphia is run by crazy asses.
That cue the song.
Cue the song.
Cue the song.
So yeah, I guess in the Y2K era, in the early Y2Ks, we had jobs at in the Center City district.
It's weird. We talk about all the time about growing up in the city. You had different part-time jobs, and when we were teenagers, I was a summer clerk at the marriage bureau in Orphans Court in City Hall. And what did you do?
I was a process server, which is essentially like serving subpoenas and complaints. But I had to go through City Hall a lot. It's weird to think that like a bunch of 18-year-old kids are actually the grease in the wheels of city government.
I was 17 when I started. Like, you're not even allowed to get married at 17, and then but you can work in the marriage bureau.
I didn't work officially in City Hall, but my job brought me to City Hall several times a day, and so I would run into you. Orphans Court, Marriage License Bureau. It was a big office in City Hall. It was one of the many offices that I would have to go to file paperwork for these lawyers and stuff.
My wife wanted me to tell this joke.
Okay.
Joanna said that we were Jim and Pam, always trying to find an excuse to hang out with each other.
Wait, me and you?
I was like, no, we're like the guys in Clerks. And she was like, no, you're like Jim and Pam. You're like, oh, what are you doing here? So
I did leave my fiance for you after 3 seasons. It's true.
You should have stayed with Karen. But it was funny. It was funny, like being there. I had to wear a shirt and tie.
Yeah.
And like, oh, look, John is here. John, who's next? Oh, this guy. And like, what can I do for you, sir? And
I
processing marriage licenses and helping people look up their marriage licenses was pretty much my job.
And so I guess not allowed to get married, but allowed to decide whether other people can get married.
No, I don't decide who's allowed to or not. That was out of what I was responsible
Supreme Court
for.
be damned. Tony Tro's in charge now.
You get married. No,
He's marrying people unwillingly.
I put papers in order, and I got people copies of their certified license. Actually, I'll just give you a tip. If you ever get married, you get your application, and they'll give you this piece of paper that looks like a license, and it's not your license.
That's true.
It's a memento, and everybody brings this to everywhere you need to bring a certified license, and then they're outright rejected. And it's almost like it's a rite of passage to be rejected with this. And then you have to go to City Hall. You have to hit up. There's a 17-year-old there. What can I do for you, sir?
You have to answer his riddles.
Mm-hmm. Answer me these questions 3, and get you your license. And you have to pay in silver nickels, and you have to pay a certain way, and then you get it in 3 days. Even though I can get it for you right now, you gotta wait.
You
know,
wait. I gotta make sure your money's good.
You gotta wait.
This check has to clear first.
Your check has to clear.
This does seem like an old-timey thing.
The books, like you pull those books out.
Yes.
It's like these dusty old books, and it's like the history of the whole country.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's ever been married in the county of Philadelphia.
I remember going in there and we
Frank
looked
Sinatra.
I was going to say, that's your favorite, Frank Sinatra's
That's my
marriage
favorite
license.
Frank Sinatra's license. Yeah.
And Sylvester Stallone's mom.
Stallone's mother.
I almost said Frank Stallone's mom.
Same. My favorite Stallone.
Yeah,
Frank Stallone.
The musical one.
The musical. Anyone's parents that got married in the.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as a kid, I was like, well, now I know other adults who are married. But as a kid, I only knew people's parents, so I like look up everybody. Oh my God, look at Zito's parents. They actually got married.
So lame. Look at them.
So lame. So lame. It felt so official. It felt like the history books.
Yeah.
You know, it felt very, it was really cool to me as a kid to be like, this is, and it's in the book forever.
Something about that office that you worked at that was true for a bunch of offices at City Hall that I noticed going in and out of was that they would have a half floor in them. So like
Yes.
the ceilings were so high in these offices that they would build like a mezzanine or like a second floor inside the office for storage.
It felt like that movie Being John Malkovich, where you worked on a half a floor and you didn't have to like crouch down, but you definitely were not. It was not a full floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to work up in that little area, and that is funny. And I always said that the color of the paint in that room was the same color as like every public school.
They got a deal.
Yeah, like Wilson Gunn got a deal on bluish greenish paint, and like, to the Walt Whitman Bridge too. You know,
All the public schools.
every public building is the same. Yeah, the same color.
All the bathrooms at the vet were painted that
all
color.
the
City Hall has a vibe. It's a very old-fashioned place. I remember, being a courier before 9/11. You could just walk in and out of this place without anyone,
There is no
batting an
chance
eye.
that Zito is not going to bring up 9/11 today. Look at the camera and say that. So what's the topics? Well, I guess we'll talk about 9/11.
No, we'll always
We'll
talk about
9/11. Yes, the vibe was different in the country before 9/11.
The vibe was different everywhere. You're right. It wasn't just City Hall. I guess. But that's where I was hanging out a lot around 2001.
Yeah, on your skateboard, listening to "Steal My Sunshine."
You have to admit,
It was different.
the
was
security
different.
was much more relaxed. You could just go in and
You
out.
could
of these
just walk
places.
in. I always thought that was like weird that you could just like, wait, did you let me up here?
Yeah.
And it was like that. And then after 9/11, they were like, not so fast.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
They didn't really like. It was like a false sense of security. They were like,
They made you sign in.
They made you sign in.
Yeah.
And I was sign in John Zito.
Then you go steal some light bulbs.
Yeah, Ned Flanders. Some light bulbs. It's a gigantic building.
It was kind of like in disrepair. Everything was under reconstruction at the time. I think they just put up the scaffolding.
The scaffolding was up for like 15 years
Yeah,
or 20 years.
at least a decade.
Yeah.
As they power washed the outside. So the inside, they were doing renovations at the same time. The 5th and the 6th floor had like an exposed drop ceiling where they were like stuffing all the electricity and duct work back inside.
You always like found, I thought was crazy about City Hall. It's like some rooms you'd walk in and it'd be like just like a rundown municipal room, and then some rooms you'd walk in and it'd be like exquisite.
Yeah, it'd be like a ballroom.
It'd be a ballroom.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was always like what's in this door, and like oh no, it's like Ben Franklin's bones, and then like what's in this door? It's like a bunch of Freemasons like smoking cigars. Like, all right, like,
Leave 'em alone.
Leave them alone. They're
not hurting anyone.
They're not hurting anyone.
And there's all kinds of like secret passageways and
There are secret
stairways and
passageways.
things.
Yeah, secret stairs, secret passages, underground tunnels.
Things like that, yeah. I remember one time I had to get some kind of records or paperwork, and so I go to the custodian of records at City Hall, and he takes me to a room at the top of one of the four corners of the building, and it's just like stacked with paperwork, ancient paperwork going back like 100 years. And he like kind of propped open a door for me because there was no natural light in this room. There's no electricity in this room. And he just kind of like opened up a fire exit so I could get some light from outside. And he was like, good luck.
Good luck. Well, in Marriage Bureau, like they can look up any record who person's got married ever. So if someone got married in the 1700s, you can get their license, but it takes a little, like you have to wait. But there's a room, I think it was like this, I think it was the 7th floor that was just like old like records that like they're just there, and you kind of have access to them. They're public record. You can't order them on the internet. But I went up there one time, and I remember it was like a trial or a case, and it was like someone suing someone else for like stealing their cognitive energy. And it was like, what is like you can't sue someone. I don't know if they won, but it was like such a weird like he was like
Call
this,
John Morgan if someone
Call
stole
John
your cognitive energy.
you stole my chicken eggs and my cognitive energy.
Who was your boss at City Hall?
My boss, well, the supervisor was Bob Stewart, but my boss was Ron Donatucci,
Right.
who was like second in command in the city forever. You know,
Yeah. What was that? The Register of Wills? or
Register of
something?
Wills. Yeah. If you know someone who knows 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 someone, he can get you a job.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be like that. Well, I guess it's still like that, but that's how it was then too.
I used to work. The guy I worked for used to work at City Hall, and he was in it's called like the Prothonotary, I think, and it's where you do all of your initial court filings. So if you have like a civil complaint or something, like a lot of slip and falls back then. It was big business. And so I guess the guy that I worked for realized that all these lawyers were in there spending all of their time waiting in line, and so he started a courier business on the side. And then he
all
left
right.
full time for that, and he hired a bunch of like college kids or high
This is
school
like this is
kids
about
to
like the
wait
people
in
who
line.
ride bikes. They're like the bike carriers.
Yes.
This is like where that culture comes from.
Yeah, well, there was I was not a bike
You don't ride a
courier.
bike.
No.
You had roller skates.
I was blading.
You're blading.
No, I was on foot by train. Spent a lot of time underground traveling the concourse tunnels.
That was a weird gig.
To-
Oh, wait, what was your catchphrase? Because I absolutely remember you said.
Oh wait, I don't remember my catchphrase.
You've been served.
I did it. Well, you're always looking for a way to lighten the mood in these situations. I definitely remember, like, so you're an 18-year-old kid. I'm a young guy, and I'm a little pipsqueak. And they send me to some guy's work. They send me to his office to like corner him and serve him with divorce papers that he was not expecting.
I can't imagine if like a teenage you showed up and went, I'm chilling, and then like, hey, you're getting sued. Like, what? Do people give you a hard time?
Oh yeah, constantly. And people will dodge you. People will dodge us. So like, and this is also in like a pre-social networking era, so you couldn't necessarily look up what somebody looked like online. So with things like doctors, like malpractice suits or whatever, we'd have to book appointments at the doctor's offices and then like show up for
They
the
show up
appointment.
like with like your arm in a cast.
I never went to that extreme, but they were more like plastic surgeons and things like that. Like, because if you were I don't want to say a real doctor, but if you were a doctor within a system, then the hospital you worked at would get served. But
Gotcha, like a private
This is private practice stuff.
practice stuff.
But yeah, it would if the more troublesome it was to reach somebody, the more of a smarmy jerk off I would be.
Okay. And why did you end up in? Well, I guess you would come and see our office. You were probably getting copies of marriage licenses to like.
Well, divorce court requires that. Yeah.
Divorce court, the other
Yeah.
other side, the
other
other
side
side
of
of our office, yeah.
Yeah. So if somebody's getting divorced or whatever, a lawyer might request like a bunch of marriage licenses and stuff.
You know what we used to do too? Like people would come in and try to see if the person they were like dating was already married.
Oh.
And it was like it didn't happen like all the time, but it would happen once in a while.
Did
It was
anybody
always
get caught?
Yeah. I remember a lady came in and she was like, I'm looking for so and so, and I was like, well, what years do you think they got married? And they're like, maybe it's between 80 and we opened like the big book. And we like, because you go through with your finger, like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you think the person they were with is named like this? And they're like, yep. And they were like, that's all I need to know. And it was like, oh. that was one of the best parts of working there.
Other people's drama.
Other people's drama. I live for it.
Juicy.
It's juicy.
I once stumbled on an old office at City Hall that was the Office of Civil War Widows, and it had been. I asked about it. It had been closed in the 90s. It was open that long, over that many years.
How many people could even work there?
I mean, there must have been like one guy over the years just making sure that the widow wasn't dead and her kids were collecting the check or something. And then at a
Every once
certain
in a while you
point, the
hear
last one
like the
died.
last Civil War widow died, like, and I feel like I've heard different versions of this, but
Well, I got to imagine if you were like, so being a Civil War widow that's still going into the 90s, you were probably like a child bride who was like forced to marry some like old Civil War
man.
veteran for his pension, probably during like the Great Depression or something. And like, not everybody's volunteering that information. So every once in a while, I guess it comes out.
I'll tell you the truth. When I worked at Marriage Bureau, they would do like child like bride type stuff, like kids who were like under 18 and the parents had to sign for them.
What?
Yeah.
What? Like, wow! I did not know that.
It was 2001, babe. It was pre 9/11. It was just different. It was different.
Oh my god!
And I was there. I was like, man. I was like, that's so wild. They're getting married. Like they're my age, you know.
Wow. And so their
Yeah.
parents would come and like sign it like a permission slip.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was. I mean, I don't know if you can still do that, but yeah, it's crazy.
My mind's
right?
blown away.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I got married at like 40 years old. And I was still worried about teen pregnancy.
Yeah.
What was the worst part of the job?
You know, you put these questions on. I loved working there.
Really?
I loved working at City Hall, and even when I graduated college, I tried to go back and get a job, and
You asked them for a full-time position?
yeah, and they were like, "There's no full-time jobs right now."
Because somebody has to leave in order.
I don't know, but they were like, "No."
I guess the worst part of the job was sometimes I'd have to go to Camden. A lot of the City Hall work, a lot of the work connected to City Hall in Philadelphia is also connected to City Hall in Camden.
Mm.
So riding the Patco, going over to Camden,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing over there as it is over here, but you're just like, you have to take a subway ride in between. So I think that was my least favorite part.
Yeah.
An
Well, I never had to
extra
go to Camden. I had to go to the Reading Terminal for roast pork sandwiches.
Oh, great.
I mean,
I did eat like a king when I worked up there.
That's one. The question I added was like, where did you like to eat?
Yeah. There was a Chinese food place.
I used to go there. Yeah.
Yeah. We would meet up for lunch sometimes. The Bellevue.
The Bellevue was great.
What is that food court have a name at the Bellevue?
Food court at the Bellevue.
Food-
I don't
food
know.
court, the food
I
court.
went so much that the guy who worked at the Chinese food place there, he still recognizes me.
Like you went back after 10 years and he was like, "Oh,
It's 20 years I went in. He was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I'm like, I mean, maybe he says hi to everybody, but we definitely were like, you're like, "Oh, it's you."
You connected.
He knew it was me. Fill it up.
You remembered your order.
Yeah. I love going there.
That's
I love the
awesome.
Chinese food at the Bellevue.
That's good service.
I mean, I loved eating out of the hot dog trucks.
Yeah.
Kibasi with red onions. The best.
Oh, there's
The
a lot of
best,
great
the
kielbasa stands.
Yeah, I love the carts.
Carts are the best.
Carts are the best.
Salt, pepper, ketchup.
Salt, pepper.
Load me up. You ever see the mayor at City Hall?
I saw Milton Street one time.
What was he doing? He was just hanging out.
It's just, I mean, bunch of people talking though. What about you? It's funny because I never saw the mayor.
I mean, when we in the time we worked up there, Rendell was no longer the mayor, but I saw him all the time.
You saw him right now.
Constantly.
Right.
He was everywhere. I guess getting ready for his campaign to be the governor or whatever. I saw him one time. He was doing some kind of Ben and Jerry's thing where they were like giving
bet he
away
was.
ice cream on Locust Street, and it's like, why is the former mayor here? And he's like, well, it worked. I voted for him.
Yeah, good one. Got you.
And then I definitely ran into one time I was using the bathroom and I was using the restroom at City Hall, and I was leaving and John Street was like entering as I was walking.
Well,
up.
Did you have a favorite bathroom in City Hall? Because there's the public bathrooms and then there's like the secret bathrooms.
On the one on the 5th floor.
That's right.
Yeah, and
right.
you need a secret code to get in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it overlooked Dilworth Park or
Yeah.
Dilworth Plaza or whatever.
Great view.
Great view, and I would always go, the mayor poops here.
It's true.
It's true.
It's true.
You saw John Street.
He
going
waited for me to
in.
leave, but he definitely did that.
I don't remember what the passcode was.
Oh man,
It was 420.
it was probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4,
It was
5.
definitely not.
But it was like beautiful especially compared to the other.
Compared to the other bathrooms, it's funny because the mayor's office is on the 2nd floor, and the bathroom on the 2nd floor, garbage. You don't want to go
Well, you
anywhere
would think
near
they would have their own bathroom in the mayoral.
Yeah, maybe they do.
Maybe, but it's crap. There sucks, and they
Yeah.
gotta go to the 5th floor.
5th floor, everybody knows
floor.
is where the best one is. You want
I
to?
know, we just gave away like a big city secret.
is a big
This is why people
secret.
tune in.
Yeah. These are the hot tips. If you end up in City Hall, 5th floor, looking down on Dilworth Plaza, just button mash the restroom door.
Wait
You'll probably get in.
for Ed Rendell to walk out.
Jim Kenny still goes
Jim
up there
Kenny
to use
still
it.
uses it. Takes a shower in there.
Just like a sink shower. He's not like getting naked.
A sink shower. Yes.
You ever see anyone famous in City Hall?
So I remember seeing this TV show Hack being shot.
Oh, about the taxi driver.
About the taxi
who
driver
solves
vigilante.
crimes.
Yes, I saw Tom. I had to look up his name. Tom Everett Scott, who's the guy from That Thing You Do.
Oh, Shades.
Shades. They were shooting the show Philly.
Yes, that
Was her name Kim Delaney?
Yes, Kim Delaney.
Delaney was in it. I mean, it's like a forgotten show.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh my God, it's Shades.
Yeah.
And I remember in the X Games, but we were joking about the X Games, but I remember when the X Games and ESPN2 was like at Love Park, and it was like such a big deal.
Yeah, that was.
And then
fun.
like John Street was like, get this out of here.
Yeah.
Get this out.
Yeah. Fill it in with cement.
Fill it in with get the shenanigans out of my face. Yeah.
I remember that. That was.
How
a good
about
time.
you?
Oh, one time going into City Hall, I saw Richie Sambora from John Bon Jovi
from
coming
the Bon
out.
Jovi.
Yes, coming out, and I was like,
well, yeah, jury duty.
it was around the time where Bon Jovi owned the Soul, the arena football team.
Yeah.
So I imagine it had something to do with that. Maybe they were doing press or something. But like our friend PJ, who was also a legal courier, I was walking with him at the time, and I was like, was that Bon Jovi? And we like looked back, and Richie Sambora looked at us over his glasses.
He's like, I'm not Bon Jovi. I'm the guy from Bon Jovi.
I'm the other guy.
I'm the other guy.
And he kept going. He played it totally cool. And I think I only knew what he looked like because it was like he was on TV. He was on VH1 or something.
You're like, you're the Italian guy from Bon Jovi. I'm a Paisan too. PJ, our friend PJ worked there. It's funny because you guys both were legal carriers, and I'm working City Hall, and it was like we would hang out all the time. And I remember I turned 18, and the Tower Records was across the street from City Hall. Me and PJ were like, "Do you want to look at some erotica today?" We both turned 18 like on the same weekend. We just like perused. They can't stop us.
Well, they weren't going to stop you.
They're like, it's not a library. You have to buy something. It's funny working in Center City these ages. And then also, when I turned 21, me and the people, like the younger people who worked in our office, we all went to the Notting Head for lunch. And I just like, I'll just have a beer with lunch, and
Yeah.
and we're getting like drunk and then going back to the office and being like, well, there's other people who are here drunk too, so it's no big deal. Who were your favorite people to work with?
Oh, we
You had like one employee. Your boss was really nice. He still let us like shoot our student films in his office and
yes,
like kids in the hall. Like, I'm the boss.
I don't know if I should I don't know if I should say his name. I don't know if he wants to be associated with this.
Well,
nonsense.
okay, well,
But
he was a nice guy.
he was a really nice guy. His name was Mike. I'll say that much. And but he had a not a business partner, but some woman that he went, like, it was his first hire. Her name was Doris, and she was like 1,000,000 years old, and she had been working as
I haven't thought about this in so long.
She was working as a paralegal at some other law firm. So when he started his business, he hired her right away to be like his first courier, and she was fast. Not only like physically
There's an old
fast.
lady who was a carrier.
Yes, she was like physically fast, and she was like mentally fast. She was like quick.
Sharp as a whip. Yep, sharp as a whip.
And so Mike would hire young guys to like do the day-to-day business or whatever, and she would like make fun of us, but she had all these like old-timey insults. She would like she would like call us like milksop or I remember one was Mike, where'd you find these mollycoddles? And I was like, whatever. Who's this old lady? She make fun of me, But then you go and you look up what a mollycoddle is, and it's like an effeminate man who hides among the women when there's work to be done. It's like, damn, Doris, I didn't do anything to you.
I think that's a compliment, by the way. Just saying. But that's, what's the other thing I thought was funny about your job is like you didn't have a map on your phone.
No.
So you'd be like,
GPS.
go to this place. Well, where's that? Like, I don't think about it. Like, go to 18th and Pine or whatever. Like, where is that? You know,
Yeah, figure
especially
it
on
out.
foot. You know, as a kid, you don't even if you weren't even driving. You know, and then you have to like, here's a map. And you go, oh, okay, it's over there.
Yeah, they gave us a SEPTA pass and there was a map hanging in the office.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that was about as good as we could do. And then at some point, I do remember we started printing out, like, because we would have to serve people. I remember one time they sent me to the Jersey Shore. Me and another guy drove to the boardwalk to serve a ride operator with a subpoena. I guess there was like an accident.
Jilly's
or something.
T-shirts.
Maurice Pier, yeah.
Maurice Pier. Stop ripping people off.
Dracula was suing Dracula's Castle
Dracula's
for copyright infringement.
Good one.
Yeah, but it was definitely just me and some other young dude who didn't, I had the only other time I had driven to the shore, my parents drove me, so we were like figuring it out.
Right. And you were able to because it was another time.
We would definitely waste some time. We would definitely, I was waiting for the bus to get back here because they would send us all the way to like North Philly to serve something. Or
Yeah.
Well, I remember one time they sent me all the way back down to my neighborhood to serve somebody, and I had to come back into work to drop off the
Would
paperwork.
you go home and like
then-
eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
Yeah, I had lunch. I hung out.
Something that when I started working at City Hall, one of the things they told me was I worked too fast, and they told me to slow down.
I remember there was a sign that used to hang in Orphans Court. Your lack of preparation does not constitute my emergency.
My emergency.
Have you been back? Have you ever gone back to City Hall?
I've had jury duty, but I got married, so I went back to the office. Some people were still there, some people were not.
Did anybody recognize you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I even I forgot like a bunch of the things I was supposed to bring.
You should know better than anyone.
They were like, "Ugh, okay, we know it's you. You don't need to give that."
You didn't have to give like your birth certificate or whatever. They were like,
No, they're like, "Oh, it's Anthony."
I remember you.
Yeah, they remember me.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks, Diane.
I went back for my marriage license as well. I was shocked by how the security had increased. I know we were saying at the beginning of this how it was just like a sign-in sheet and you could put down whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
But they took my photo. They took my
They give you the
fingerprint,
badge,
a
yeah,
badge. I had
yeah.
to hand over my license. It was a walk through a metal detector. I was kind of impressed. I can't believe people stand.
And then
in
there's
line for all that.
only one entrance you can even go in now. I think it's like the northeast corner.
Oh, that's crazy.
I don't think you can even. I don't know.
That's such an inconvenience because there's like, as a legal courier, there were offices that it's a huge building.
Well, I'm saying there was like secret passages and like ladders and things like that.
Yeah.
And now I think there's like one focused area.
They sealed them all up.
I think so. Yeah.
Wow, that sucks.
Yes.
Well, probably not for safety concerns. It's probably
Right.
it's probably better for the people.
What
who
about
work there.
what about the teenage legal carriers?
What about the real demographic that I'm
The real
interested in?
demographic.
So yeah, I guess that's. Do you have anything else you want to add about working at City Hall in the early Y2Ks?
Just want to give a shout out to John, Freddie, Georgia, Doug, Kevin, Diane, and Brianne. I had a great time working at City Hall.
Doris, we miss you wherever you are. All right, not for nothing, but this has been Trov and Zito talking about working at City Hall.
The end. Follow us on. Sign up for our Patreon. Call to action. Sign up for our Patreon. Like this video. Buy these clothes. Come to our store. Go to our website. Watch the other videos. Leave a
Share.
comment. Share.
Leave a review.
Leave a review. It won't kill you.
We're at South Fellini everywhere. Thanks.